Thank you for your interest in learning more about the FY21 recommended budget submitted by Mayor Walsh to the Boston City Council. The annual operating budget and capital plan fund the essential and impactful programs and services that the City of Boston provides to all its residents. To learn more about the budget, including videos, featured analysis, and our open data portal, please visit our website at budget.boston.gov. Before we dive into the specifics of this year's recommended budget, it's helpful to set a framework for the city and what are the emerging themes. The response to the coronavirus remains our top priority, but we know that there will be considerable economic fallout because of this pandemic. But thankfully, after years of strong fiscal management, Boston is exceptionally well prepared for this uncertainty, and the city's finances are strong. We have had 6 years in a row of AAA bond ratings, and we were recently recognized as one of the most prepared cities in the country for a recession. The issues, programs, and services we provide as a city did not go away because of this pandemic, so maintaining a well-functioning city government is vital. We project revenue to grow modestly for FY21, bolstered primarily from property taxes, with considerable uncertainty around our other sources like state aid, fees, fines, and excise taxes. For FY21, non-essential spending is limited, but major commitments to education, housing, and fixed costs are funded. The city collects different revenue to fund its annual operations. These sources include property taxes, state revenue, fees, fines, and permits. The city is required to produce a balanced budget every year, so revenue must equal expenses. As you can see here, our overall revenue is projected at $3.647 billion, about 4% growth or $154 million over FY20. This is among the smallest year-over-year increases in the past 5 years. Property tax is expected to be strong at $2.6 billion and will remain at almost 72% of the city's revenue. State revenue is projected to go up to $474 million and represent 13% of city revenue. Departmental revenue is expected to be flat at $364 million and represent 10% of city revenue. And finally, excise tax revenue at $188 million or 5% of city revenue is projected to fall next year due to economic uncertainty surrounding COVID-19. Starting with property taxes, in the blue up top, you can see it represents 72% of our projected revenue for next year. Property tax is governed by Proposition 2.5, which has made it a safe and stable revenue source for the city over the past 30 years. We are projecting a total of $2.622 billion or $161 million more than FY20. Despite representing our most important and consistent revenue source, property taxes in Boston, especially residential, remain low. This chart shows the slow growth of actual tax levy in blue versus the maximum tax levy ceiling in red. Since Proposition 2.5 was introduced, the city has increased the tax by 2.5% annually, but value of properties has increased by 8% annually since 1986. That means Boston's property taxes are $1.9 billion or 40% below our ceiling of $4.4 billion. Thanks to policies pursued by the city, property taxes in Boston remain low when compared to other cities. The average single-family tax bill in Boston is 37.9% below the FY20 state average. Residents will still receive the maximum exemption of 35%, and the residential-commercial split is fully weighted in favor of residents. The other major factor in property taxes is the new construction that has come into our city over the previous year, otherwise known as new growth. In the red box on the right, you can see we are projecting $65 million in new growth for FY21. This projection reflects a strong economy, but not the unprecedented heights of the past 4 years. When you look back on new growth patterns over the past 20 years, especially during economic downturns, you see significant declines and fluctuations. During the dot-com and Great Recession, the city saw ups and downs with new growth in the city, which is why we are expressing caution for next year. The $65 million number for FY20 is achievable, but we will continue to monitor and evaluate if a sustained recession affects Boston's development and construction. Moving on to our next largest category, state aid. This category has the most uncertainty because it depends very much on how the state and federal governments address their own revenue losses related to COVID-19 and what type of stimulus packages may be made available to the city. We know that the House, Senate, and Governor are meeting to decide on new revenue numbers for the state budget for next year, which will be lower than what they projected back in January. We will monitor those developments at the State House and make adjustments in the resubmitted budget as needed. For now, the best available information is the governor's proposed budget, which was very positive for Boston, mostly because it included the first year of Student Opportunity Act funding. The governor's number included a $9 million total increase through a 2% increase in unrestricted general government aid up to $207 million, and a $7 million increase in education aid, which includes Chapter 70 and charter reimbursement. At 13%, state aid is our second biggest revenue source, but it's actually a much smaller percent of the city budget than it was 20 years ago. In 2002, state aid was 30% of the city budget, so changes at the state level affected us much more than they do now. The other major categories, which we will get into detail in a moment, departmental revenue and excise revenue, have been relatively consistent over that time period, growing along with the overall budget. This makes us very reliant on stable property taxes and will help us weather any changes in the broader economy better than other cities. Moving on to the third largest category of departmental revenue. This category covers fees, fines, licenses, and permits issued by the city. While these somewhat follow the economy, they have been stable over the years. The blue and red line bars below show department revenue like fines and fees over the past 20 years. As you can see, we are collecting roughly the same as we did in FY10 and only slightly more overall than FY2002. The yellow bar reflects licenses and permits. That has grown considerably over the past 10 years, up to $62 million. We are projecting this category to be flat overall between FY20 and FY21 at $365 million. One of the major components of departmental revenue are pilot payments and 121A, B, and C tax agreements with the city. As you can see, pilot payments have more than doubled since 2002, up to nearly $50 million in 2021. At the same time, 121A, B, and C tax agreements have dropped considerably, down to $31 million from a high in FY 2010 of $67 million. The last revenue category is excise tax revenue at 5% or $187 million. This is where we are projecting a $17 million or 8% decrease in revenue from FY20 to FY21. The biggest component of excise taxes at nearly 50% is room occupancy taxes, which is a 6.5% add-on to the nightly rate for hotels and short-term rentals like Airbnb. The second biggest category at 27% is motor vehicle excise. This is an annual payment to have your car registered in Boston of $25 per $1,000 of vehicle value. The third biggest is the 0.75 meals tax at 14%, and the fourth is jet fuel tax of 5% of the average fuel sales price for flights out of Logan Airport at 11%. Excise taxes are traditionally very elastic to the local economy. The more money people have, the more they go out to eat, the more they stay in hotels. What makes this potential downturn different is the current public health measures have put some of those normal activities completely on hold. For each of these projections next year, we reviewed the current data we have and tried to predict when the economy reopens, how quickly things will get back to normal, and what does that new normal look like. Room occupancy is obviously the biggest risk categories because it's the largest source, and for FY21, we are projecting $87 million, or a $10 million or 12% cut from FY20. Motor vehicles are somewhat less elastic because while people may forego buying a new car if the economy is contracting, they still need to register their existing car. So we are projecting a modest 4% or $2 million reduction. Meals are another high-risk category, and we are projecting a 17% reduction, or about $5 million. And finally, for aircraft, we are projecting a $3 million reduction, or about 15%, because this is a global crisis and may affect international travel to Boston. This concludes the revenue portion of the video series. To learn more about the budget, including videos, featured analysis, and our open data portal, please visit our website at budget.boston.gov. Thank you.